Hello, I'm hoping I'm live. I'm sorry I'm late. Let me have a look and see if I actually am live. Wait for my iPad to catch up. Oh, and it looks like I'm there. Thank goodness for that. Thought I was going to have technical difficulties for a minute, and we don't want those, do we? Okay, right. Put that where I can see it. Yes, I'm sorry I'm late. I was dog wrangling. I don't have a dog anymore, but our son lives with us and he has a dog and he's at work, so I get to wrangle the dog. And if you have a dog, you will know that sometimes they want to cooperate and sometimes they don't. And she's a very barky dog, so if a bird lands in the garden, she'll bark. If the trees blow in the wind, she'll bark. You know, you get the idea. So I need to put her out of earshot while I'm doing something like this, and she knew exactly what was going on and she wasn't having any of it. So yes, I was chasing her around for a little bit, but she is safely shut away somewhere where she can't come to any harm, and she'll go to sleep now. She'll be quite absolutely fine. But if she was, you know, around the house close to me, she wouldn't be lying down going to sleep. She'd be, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? So yes, that is today's reason why I'm late. So who is here? Mary's here. Pam is here. Pam says hello to everybody. Hi Mary. Sandy's here. She's only just got into her craft room. Gosh. Belinda's here. Hi Belinda. Belinda and Sandy say hello to everyone, as does Lorraine. So that's really, really nice. It's really good to have you all here. Thank you. You can't see my desk at the moment. I've got like a heap of stuff. I had everything ready, thank goodness, prepared, and then because I was dog wrangling, I haven't spread it all out, so I'm going to chat away to you and just pull out my bits and pieces. So yes, so what are we doing today? Well, I'll be telling you that in a minute. First of all, I want to know how you all are. What have you been doing this week? Have you been up to anything exciting? Because, you know, there's so many exciting things that we can do these days. And what are you crafting at the moment? I hope you've been crafting. I know some of you have, because I've seen some of the pictures and they've been absolutely gorgeous, so I'm delighted to always get those. Have a look. Oh, Ruth's here too. Hi Ruth. Ruth says hello to everyone. Gosh, we're quite the party this afternoon. It's so nice. I wish we could all be together in the same room, but this is nearly as good, isn't it? Okay, it's been so cold, hasn't it? We've actually had the heating on all day for the last couple of 3 days. My husband and I are both working from home. He gets the short straw because although he's in the kitchen, which should be warm, the warmest part of the house, with nobody doing any cooking during the day, it's not that warm. And we've got big windows, we've got big French doors there as well, so there's a lot of glass for the heat to escape through. I'm in my craft room and I'm sitting at my table in the window, and underneath the window is a radiator, so I've got my table pushed right back against the wall, so the radiator heat is all circulating around my knees, which is really nice. So it's lovely and warm in here. Occasionally I take pity on him and open the door so some of the heat can escape out to him, but I have a horrible feeling he's sitting there with a rug around his knees. But there we go, that's the joys of working from home in a cold spell, isn't it? I know some people got some snow. We got that little tiny dusting, but nothing very much at all. In Kent, where my in-laws are, they've had a couple of inches, but no, here it's just cold. So Sandy's been doing a bit of crafting and a lot of staying in bed with a bad back. Yes, Sandy, I was really sorry to hear about your bad back. I hope it's improving. I guess you've just got to pace yourself and do what you can, and then when it's shouting at you, go and give it what it wants and lie down. Katie's here. Hi Katie, lovely to have you. Belinda's been mostly trying to keep warm and a bit of crafting. Gillian's here. How nice. And you received your Dandy Garden sampler pack and you love it. I'm so pleased, Gillian. Good to know that it's arrived. I'm sorry it took so long. That really is a long time from when I posted it, but the post is all over the place. You know, some people got theirs within 2 days, and there you are, you just got yours yesterday, but I'm glad it has arrived, and I hope you'll share what you make with it. Okay, have I missed anybody? Don't think so. Yeah, Rosie's auntie lives in Kent and says it was bad. Yeah, they usually get snow in Kent. It's my husband's birthday next week, and my mother-in-law says it always snows on his birthday, and so when she rings up on his birthday, and she always says, you know, oh, have you got snow? And we have to remind her that we don't actually live in Kent, and we don't very often get snow here. Okay, so what have I been doing this week? Well, I've been doing a bit of preparation ready for my spring extravaganza, which I know some of you have booked for. That's an all-day class. I'm waiting for all the materials to arrive, so there's a limit to what I can do, but I can do a few bits. So that's been fun. What else have I been doing? Making birthday card for my husband, don't tell him, and a Valentine's card. So I've enjoyed doing those. And what else? Oh, weekend's going to be really exciting. We're actually getting an outing on Saturday. I think I was complaining last week about how narrow my horizons were. Well, I'm going all the way to Southampton this weekend. Saturday afternoon, my husband's got his routine annual checkup at the eye hospital, which he was going to cancel. And in fact, then they sent him a letter and said they'd reviewed it and he did need to go, but they changed it to a Saturday afternoon. So I'm really hoping that we won't have the usual 3-hour wait for a 20-minute appointment. I don't know what it is. Some departments in that hospital are really efficient, and yes, you know, you expect to have to wait a little bit, but the eye department is abysmal. Every time we go, we get between a 3 and a 4-hour wait, despite the fact that they've given him a very precise time for his appointment. So I'm hoping we're not going to get that this Saturday. But yes, so an outing to Southampton eye outpatients. Very exciting. What has my life become? Okay, so we've got some people here making some comments. Oh yes, so yes, Sandy's had an exciting time. She's booked for the 2021 Stampin' Up event in London. Yes, so that's exciting. Sandy's one of my demonstrator team, and she has booked to do a virtual event that we're doing, and it's called the London event. They're doing a couple in the UK. The idea being that you kind of get together virtually with people from your approximate region. So London is our nearest one, so it will be people mostly from the south, southeast, southwest of the country. So yes, that's very exciting. That's happening in April. Oh, Lorraine says that David goes to the eye department too and the waiting is dreadful. I know, Lorraine. I mean, how is it that some departments can work so efficiently and some just don't? Yeah, beyond me. Ruth said she was there yesterday and it was quite a lot better with fewer patients. Well, I'll tell you what, Ruth, I really hope that's going to be the case on Saturday. And if they can't get it right with a lot fewer patients, there really is no hope, is there? But I'm glad you didn't have to wait for ages. Okay, so what is there new in the Stampin' Up world? Well, I've been starting out with shipping recently, so, you know, I may as well continue that. But this time it's mostly good news. Certainly as far as my parcels are concerned and my customers' parcels, all our parcels from January orders have arrived, so that really is good news. The massive backlog there was there is, you know, being chipped away at day by day, and fortunately we all got ours, so I'm really happy about that. And I know some of the names that are coming up here, your parcels have arrived too, so it's been very exciting. In some cases I think we've forgotten what we ordered, it's all taken so long. Orders that I have placed in February, some I placed last week, they're telling me they're going to arrive next week. I will reserve judgment on how accurate I think that is, and we'll wait and see. But what I'm told is that parcels are taking about 2 to 2.5 weeks at the moment to arrive, which is a huge improvement on 40 days, which is where we have been. So if you've ordered things from me, I'm hoping to have some good news for you next week. So I think that's all I'm going to say about shipping, really. Fingers crossed things are improving. There are just 2 more weeks left for Sale-a-Bration. It finishes on the 28th, so well, 2 weeks and 2 days, but what's 2 days between friends? So if you've got your eye on anything in the Sale-a-Bration brochure, you've got just a couple more weeks. Don't get lulled into a false sense of security and thinking that you've got until the end of March, because it's only a 2-month promotion this time, but it will be back in the summer with new things. I haven't seen them, but I know it'll be exciting. And also don't forget that if you've been umming and ahhing about, should I join Stampin' Up? You've got 2 more weeks to do that and get the bumper bundle of patterned paper. They're 6 by 6 inches paper stacks. You get 5 of them absolutely free, along with whatever else you choose. You choose £130 worth of goodies and you pay £99 for them, and there's no shipping charge. So it's a great deal to join. Once you join, you become part of my team, and we have a lot of fun together. We get together at the moment virtually, but usually in person if we can once a month. Certainly at the moment, as I say, it's all done online. We craft together, we chat together. When the world comes back to normal, we eat cake together, which is always good. You can also access Stampin' Up events like the one I was talking about earlier, and you'll get to know new crafting friends. Everybody in Stampin' Up is super nice because crafty people are so nice, aren't we? So I can guarantee that you will enjoy Stampin' Up. And of course you get a discount. You get 20% off everything you buy that's in the catalogues, so that's a huge saving. And as time goes on, that can go up to 25%. So yes, I don't pay full price for any of my crafting stuff, and there's opportunities to get things for free as well. So think about it. Get in touch if you've got any questions or you'd like to know more. But just 2 weeks to join and get that huge stack of patterned paper added in just for nothing. Last thing I was going to mention was Hey Chick and Hey Birthday Chick. So Hey Birthday Chick stamps are in the mini catalogue, but you can get dies to go with them. They're not in the mini catalogue, but they are in my online shop, or I can send you the information if you haven't seen it. And you can get them bundled, the stamps and the dies, at a 10% discount. And they've brought back the Hey Chick stamps, which we had years and years and years ago, plus a new set of dies to go with them, which again you can buy separately or you can buy the two bundled together. So they are really fun. It's the same chicken characters in both stamp sets. So yeah, they're terrific. Any more comments? Where are we? Oh dear, Ruth. Yes, didn't do well reading the chart. I'm sorry. I know your eyes are an awful issue. And Rosie is cracking eye jokes. Well done, Rosie. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is talk to you about using your patterned paper. Now, are you anything like me? Do you look at your patterned paper and get it out occasionally and stroke it and then put it back because it's too pretty to use? Yeah, I think a lot of us are like that. So I'm going to encourage you today to use your patterned paper, and I've got a card design that really makes the most of double-sided patterned paper. So I'll show you those in just a minute. Two things as well about using up your patterned paper. Certainly the Stampin' Up packs of patterned paper, you get at least 2 sheets of each design. If you get the 6x6 paper, you often get more than 2 sheets. But even the big packs, you get 2 sheets of each design. So if you've really got to keep some, you can use 1 sheet and cut up 1 sheet. So that's one way around it. And I know somebody else who always buys 2 packs of each kind of paper that they purchase, 1 to keep and 1 to use. So that's another option if you're a collector of patterned paper. But anyway, I've been encouraging you to use your patterned paper. But before I do that, I'm just going to run through cutting card bases and mats and layers to go on them. I get asked this question so often, you know, what measurements do you use? So I'm going to give you my most common measurements for just standard sized cards. And you can play around with those once you've got them. I did have a look. I can't put a file on my Facebook page. I'd hope there would be a file section where I could just upload a document with all the measurements on there. But I can't do that. It's just not formatted to allow me to do that. So have a pen and pencil by you, and a piece of paper to write down the measurements. If you're desperate for them in a printed format, then drop me an email. My email address is handmadeathome, that's all one word, handmadeathome@hotmail.co.uk. Send me an email and I will attach a printed document and send you to an email and send it to you back, so I can do that for you. Okay, so I think that's all I've got to say before I turn the camera down. Oh, Jackie's here. Hi, Jackie. Don't worry about being late. You can always go back and watch the beginning on the replay later on. So I'm going to cover you over now. I'm going to turn you down. I've forgotten to put my microphone on, so I'm going to find that. I hope you've been able to hear me all right. And I will see you again in a minute. So just talk amongst yourselves while I play around with this. It's always an adventure turning the camera around. Can I get it to give me the settings that I need? There we go. Oh no, no, I don't want to turn. It's telling me to rotate my phone. I don't want to rotate my phone. There we go. I don't know why it decided on that, but that's gone now. So that's all good. Right, let me find my microphone while that sorts itself out. Okay, plug my microphone in, so I might wobble my camera while I'm doing that. And my apologies for that. If I hadn't been chasing the dog, I might even have remembered to do this before we started. There we go. Do something with this cable to keep it out of the lens's way. There, right, okay. I think I'm ready now. Let's have a look. What can we see? So that's my measurements here, which I will put down for you in just a minute. I've got some card to cut up to make some card bases and layers. Okay, so I'll do that first and then I'll come on to the actual projects that I'm going to make this afternoon. So I've just got here A4 card. I can't get the whole sheet, I don't think, into view. Let's try moving things a little bit, see if that's any better. I'm going to show you how to make a portrait card and a landscape card. So when I say portrait and landscape, just in case anybody doesn't know, with a portrait card, you've got the short edge at the top, the short side at the top, and then it's longer down the side, so it's this kind of shape. If you imagine a painting that's a portrait, that's the idea. With a landscape card, you've got the longest edge at the top and the shorter one at the side. If you imagine a landscape, you would have your sky and your hills or what have you, so it would be a wide painting. So that's what I mean when I talk about a landscape card. Hi Kerry, how lovely to have you. And Jackie's saying the sound's fine. Excellent, glad to hear that, Jackie, thank you. Okay, so for the card base then, now there are two ways of doing this. There is the no wastage way and there is the slightly more symmetrical way. So I'm going to start off with the no wastage way, which is, I've got my A4 card. I'm going to make a portrait card, so I'm going to cut my card landscape at 5 7/8 inches. This is basically cutting it in half. So now I've got two pieces. That was my whole sheet. This is my half sheet. So I cut it at 5 7/8 inches. That's the measurement across there. And then I'm going to score it landscape again at 4 1/8 inches, like that. So I've then scored it in half that way, and then when I fold that, I have a portrait shaped card. So that's just used half a sheet of A4 card with no wastage. So I've cut it landscape at 5 7/8 inches. Then I've rotated that so it was then landscape again, and I've scored it here at 4 1/8 inches. So that's the first way. The second way that I can do this, which is the way which is much more symmetrical but has a little bit of wastage, is to cut my card slightly. So I'm going to cut it to 11.5 inches landscape. So I'm just cutting a smidgen off it there. So it's just a tiny bit I've cut off. Let me move this down. I've just realized you can't see the measurements. So I've cut this to 11.5 inches, and then portrait I'm going to cut it to 8 inches. So my card ends up 11.5 by 8 inches. And now I'm going to cut this in half. So I've got it landscape, and I'm going to cut it at 5 3/4 inches. That gives me 2 equal halves. And then I'm going to score it landscape at 4 inches. So measurements are slightly different to the other one. So these are my two card bases. If I put them side by side, this is the one that was exactly half a sheet of A4, and this is the one I trimmed. So the first method gives you a slightly taller card, and it gives you a very slightly deeper card. The one on top is the second one. Let me hold that up, I don't know if you can see. So it's very little difference. The real difference you will notice is when I put the mats and layers on there. So I'm going to set those aside and cut some mats and layers. So the first layer I cut, and it's the same however my card base was. So I'm going to cut my first layer at 5.5 inches. And I'm starting off with A4 card, but it doesn't matter what size your card is as long as it's big enough. 5.5 inches by 3 3/4. And I'm going to cut 2 of these, one for each of those cards. So those are 5.5 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to cut the next layer and then I'll show you them actually on the card. So my layer 2 is going to be 5.25 inches by 3.5 inches. So I've just come down 1/4 inch each time on those. You move my trimmer out of the way. So this card here is the one where I literally just cut the piece of A4 in half. And those are my mats and layers. Now I'm hoping that it will show on the camera, but I have slightly more at the top and slightly more at the edges, so it's not an exact layering. My borders around the edges are not exactly the same all the way round, but this one where I cut the card down to start with, they are. So let me glue those in place very quickly and then you'll be able to see. So the base on this one is Bermuda Bay. Then I've got a layer of Pretty Peacock and then a layer of Pool Party, in case you were wondering. Normally the one here that is Pool Party would probably be Whisper White or Basic White as it is now, or very vanilla. So that's that one. And this is my half A4 sheet, so the layers are the same, it's only the card base that's different. Get that straight as I can. There we go. This is half an A4. So I don't know if you can see the difference. It's not a big difference, but if you are very precise in your measurements, you will see that the borders on this one are not even all the way around like they are on this one. That doesn't bother me, and more often than not, I will just do half an A4. It saves me 2 cuts on every single card I make. And if I'm cutting for a class with 6 projects and 15 people, that's quite a time saving. But if it matters to you, then you will want to trim your card first. Okay, and I had written these out really nicely for you, and I will leave that there for a minute, but I did notice a mistake here, so that should read landscape. So that I did my best writing as well, and then I made a mistake. Okay, so this is for your portrait card bases, and I'll leave that there for you so you can write those down. I'll read it one last time. Cut A4 card landscape at 5 7/8 inches and then score it landscape at 4 1/8 inches. Or cut your A4 card down to 11.5 by 8 inches and then cut it landscape at 5 3/4. And score it landscape at 4 inches, and then your first layer is 5.5 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and layer 2 is 5 1/4 by 3.5 inches. So Katie's saying she uses half an A4 and just cuts mats to fit. You can certainly do that, Katie. The only thing is that they end up as slightly fiddly measurements. If you're just doing one for yourself, you know, or even a few for yourself, that's absolutely fine. You can certainly, you know, get those borders exactly right that way. That will work too. I quite like having the nice round measurements and sort of in 1/4 inches as far as I can. So that's why I do it this way. But if you've got a way that works for you, absolutely do that. All right. So you can screenshot that, or you can rewind to it, or you can jot it down. So I'm going to move that out of the way, and we're going to do a landscape card base now. Sandy does it in centimetres, so it's easier when using A4. You might well be right, Sandy. What does that come out at in centimetres? What's half a sheet of A4 in centimetres? And Mary takes a photograph, then prints it later. Very clever, Mary. All right, so now if I'm going to make a landscape card base, same again, I'll show you 2 different ways of cutting the card. So the first one, I'm going to cut it exactly in half, which is cutting it portrait at 4 1/8 inch. And then I'm going to score it landscape at 5 7/8 inches, like that. There we go. So that's my half A4 landscape card base. So Sandy says, doing it in centimetres, she cuts it at 14.9 centimetres and scores it at 10.5 centimetres. So if you like centimetres, that's Sandy's measurements. You lost me at 0.9 of a centimetre, Sandy. I'm afraid I hate fiddly little measurements like that. But you're right, you can convert it more easily in half with centimetres. All right, so this is my other piece of my other half of A4 card. So if I was using a whole sheet, I'd be cutting it to 11 1/2, which I can do. Oh, hang on, let me move my trimmer down. 11 1/2. And just cut off that little smidgen there. And then it would be 8 inches if it was a whole sheet. So this is a half a sheet, so it's 4. But if you're starting with a whole sheet, cut it to 8 inches wide, and then you'll get 2 cards out of it, and then score it landscape at 5 3/4. Oops, there we go. Jackie's thinking some of us don't do centimetres. Yeah, some people don't do inches, some people don't do centimetres. So I'm an inches person, I must admit, so my measurements are almost always in inches. Just occasionally I'll mix them because it can be easier sometimes to use a centimetre measurement, but I tend to be an inches girl, I must admit. Right, so that's my 2 card bases. So I'm going to cut my layers exactly the same as before. So my first layer is going to be 5 1/2 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And I'll cut 2 of those, both the same size, 1 for each of those card bases. And then my second layer is 5 1/4 by 3 1/2 inches. So again, the same measurements as for the first card. Get my trimmer out of the way. I've got my grid paper all rucked up. Let's see if I can straighten that out. There we go. That's better. Rosie says she doesn't do either. And Sandy is saying if you use her measurements for the card bases, then you cut each layer 0.4 centimetre less than the last one. So if you're a metric person, Sandy's got your measurements there for you. Thank you, Sandy. So this is my first card base, which was half a sheet of A4. That's the Mossy Meadow. Then I'm going to add my Granny Apple Green layer. And you'll see again that the borders aren't quite 100% symmetrical all the way round. And as I say, it doesn't bother me. But if it bothers you, then you'll want to use my second set of measurements where you trim your card first so that you can then cut it exactly in half to make your 2 card bases. Katie's marked her trimmer with a Sharpie marker so she doesn't even have to think about the measurements each time. And Sandy says centimetres are dead easy with the new Stampin' Up trimmer. That certainly makes it a lot easier, Sandy. You are absolutely right, because you've got all the markings on there very, very clearly. Jackie likes 1/4 inch increments for layers because you don't have to think about it all the time. Yeah, that's my thoughts, Jackie, I must admit. There we go. So that's my second landscape card. So this one is half A4 and this one is trimmed down A4. So if I put them side by side, you can see that this one is a little bit shorter and it's also not quite as wide that way. But the 1/4 inch increments on the layers are absolutely perfect. Whereas with this one, they're not absolutely 100% accurate when you look at them laying on the base card, because the card base is just that little bit bigger. Lorraine's an inches girl. And in case you're wondering, the reason that I do my landscape cards this way, so it opens up like that, rather than this way, is because if you've ever had a tentfold card like this that sits on your mantelpiece for a little while, over time it starts to collapse and can look very, very sad when it's sitting like that. So I do them like that occasionally, and sometimes I quite like a tall tentfold card like that even, but generally I do them like this. I fold them on the short side and have a landscape card done that way with the fold on the left. So that is Easy Mats and Layers. Let me just bring in, there we go, that's my landscape measurements for the landscape card. So for the easy half an A4 one, you just cut it portrait at 4 1/8 inch and score it landscape at 5 7/8 inches. Or if you want the more exact measurements, cut your card down to 11.5 by 8 inches to start with, and then cut it portrait at 4 inches. Finally score it landscape at 5 3/4 inches. And then the layers are the same as on the portrait card. So the first layer is 5.5 by 3 3/4 inches. The second layer is 5 1/4 by 3.5 inches. So there you go. You can screenshot it. You can come back to it later. You can jot it down, but hopefully that will help you. That is, as I say, one of the questions I get asked the most by card makers. And the envelopes that we have in the catalogue will fit these cards. Our standard C6 envelopes will fit these cards, which are essentially half a sheet of A4, and it doesn't matter which measurement you use for your card base, both of them will fit in a C6 envelope. So Belinda works in inches usually, although she can do either, and Sandy says she's an inches girl too, just not when crafting. Okay, so let me know if you've got any questions on those, but I'm going to move those bits and pieces out of the way. And I'm going to put my glue out of the way. I shall need that shortly. I'm going to bring in some cards. And I'm also going to reach over for my stamps, which I can't quite get from within arm's length, so I'll leave you those to have a little look at. So I've used the Berry Blessings bundle, which is a Sale-a-Bration item, so you'll be able to get hold of this just for a couple more weeks. It's really lovely. The paper is absolutely stunning, and there is a stamp set, so you get both of them, and it's like a double Sale-a-Bration reward. So if you spend £90, you can opt for this as your free item. So it's like 2 single rewards if you like. This one, it's a double one. It's a big stamp set, lots of stamps in there. 3 sets of words as well, and you can stamp blueberries, or they could be black or red currants, and raspberries. And this coordinates with the strawberry set in the seasonal catalogue, which I should have had open to show you. Let me grab that. There's a lot of grabbing going on in my craft room today, have you noticed? No, it won't be in the Christmas catalogue, will it? That's not right. Okay, here we go. Let's just find the right page to show you. I thought I was really prepared today. Not quite as prepared as I thought. I'm looking for the page. I know it's in here. If anyone's got the page and you can find it before me, you get a gold star. I can't even remember the name of it. Dreadful. And I'm looking through this pictorial index and I can't find the images on here either. So I get a U, I think. Not very good at all. Could do better. Okay, so you can see while I'm flicking through, you can see on my cards that I've used pattern paper. I've also done some stamping on them. And I will be doing some more of the same on the cards that I'm actually going to make for you now. And I'm determined to find these stamps. I can picture them, I just can't remember which page they are on. Here they are, page 44. Right. Thank you, Margaret. Hello, Margaret. How lovely to have you and how helpful of you. Thank you very much. Here we go. It's the Sweet Strawberry set. So if I pop this set next to it, you can see it's exactly the same style. I think the same artist has drawn these. The one in the mini catalogue, you've got strawberries with the calyx, strawberry flowers and leaves. In strawberry flowers in 2 sizes. A happy birthday, a thank you, a just for you, as well as a couple of other sentiments. And you've got the same idea with an outline stamp and then a shading stamp as you have in the free set. So there you are. So you can see these two complement each other beautifully. The strawberry one in the mini catalogue, there is also a punch which will punch out your strawberry shape, these little individual sort of leaflets, the flower and the calyx. So you can get that as a bundle if you would like. That's here, but I haven't got that. I've just got the Sale-a-Bration one, so that's what I'm going to focus on for today. Thank you, Belinda. You've also looked that up. Sandy's given me the title. Yeah, you were all there, weren't you? Thank you very much for your help. All right, so I'm going to move the blueberries aside. Let's just look at the raspberries. So the way this card opens, and I'm hoping I can get the whole thing on screen, is it opens like this. So I'll close it and then I'll do that slowly. So that's my front panel. Then that's my inside panel. And that is my absolute inside, if you like, the bit where I would do my writing. You could, of course, also make this decorative and you could add a panel on the back if you wanted. But what I love about this is that you can really see both sides of the paper. So if you've got patterned paper that you absolutely love and you can't decide which side to show, then this card is absolutely perfect. So there we go. Now, I did not design this card. Another demonstrator, an American lady called Rhonda Wade, I first saw her make these about 3 years ago, something like that. And I think it's a lovely design. Belinda likes it too. Yeah, it's so clever. And it uses just under half a sheet of patterned paper. So you can make 24 of these. I think that's right, isn't it? 12 sheets, 2 in each. Yeah, 24 of these from a pack of patterned paper. Or you could make 12 and then keep a sheet of each to stroke if you really can't bear to use it all up. I'm glad you like it, Rosie. Thank you. Yeah, Jackie likes it too. The papers are beautiful. Now, I can't show you all the papers because I've used so much of them and I've only got one pack, although I have got another one on its way. But I can show you them in the Sale-a-Bration brochure. Ooh, oh, goodness me. Knocking things about here. Here we go. So they're all here on the top. Let me just move my cards a moment. There we go. So the ones that I've just shown you are this one here with the green tartan inside and the blueberries with the blue. And then you've also got this kind of impressionistic raspberry here, which has got sort of ferny leaves inside. There's an all over strawberry pattern that's got like a strawberry pip design on the reverse. A very sort of washed out watercolour raspberry or loganberry here. And I'm going to use that one in a minute to show you. And I'm also going to make one using this pattern, which is the strawberries with the red check. So they're beautiful papers, absolutely beautiful. In the brochure, you've got some more ideas here for using them. Just really, really lovely. and they've coordinated some of this with the stamp set. So this one here, for instance, they've used the strawberry stamp set in the mini catalogue plus this free stamp set and stamped what looks like background paper at first glance, but it's actually all stamped on that one. Here they've used the strawberry punch, and it punches out some of the designs on the paper as well. So the two just mix and match really beautifully. So Katie says she'd never thought of using patterned paper for bases. Do you know, Katie, neither would I. And the thing about this is because you've got quite a lot of layers of card, it actually means that your paper is plenty strong enough to use as a base. Stampin' Up patterned paper is pretty strong anyway. It's a really nice quality, but these are absolutely fine. They're really, really strong cards. They work beautifully. So I'm going to briefly just talk you through these two, and then I'm going to get on and make. So let me bring in the stamp set as well that I used. So here you can see this is the blueberry paper. So I've stamped with the blueberry stamps and this leaf, and these berries just sit on top here of these little, I don't know what those are, little stem ends of the berries there. So I stamped in garden green ink, stamped the leaves in garden green ink, then I filled them in with this stamp and garden green ink again, but I stamped it off once so it's slightly paler so you can still see a distinct outline. The berries I did a similar thing. I stamped the outline in Night of Navy, but this time I stamped the actual berries in Pacific Point. And then I used Night of Navy for my greeting, which is from Peaceful Moments. And then I've layered my stamped piece on some Pacific Point card there. So then if I open it up onto this one, same colours again, another stamp from the Peaceful Moments stamp set, which I did mask. I masked off that bottom line. I put some washi tape over the stamp before I inked it, removed the washi tape, and then only the words that had hit the ink pad came out. But other than that, that's the same. I've just arranged the stamp slightly differently. And on the inside, same again, with an extra layer of white and stamping at the bottom. So that's that card. Then this one with the raspberries, same idea again. I stamped the raspberries here. The outline is rich raspberry, and then the colouring in part is the same ink colour, but I stamped it off once. And then I've used garden green on the leaves again, outline, and then stamped it off once to colour in the leaves. Lorraine is saying, will the papers be available after Sale-a-Bration separately? Not as far as I know, Lorraine. We have asked for them because they are so beautiful and they coordinate so nicely with the stamp set in the mini catalogue. But at the moment they're saying no, they are only a Sale-a-Bration item. So yeah, that's all I can tell you at the moment, I'm afraid. As far as I know, they will not be available after the end of February. Then this panel in here, I've actually cut out from this pattern of the paper. I've cut out some of the strawberries and some of these little flowers. Now I don't have a strawberry punch. If I did, I could have punched them out, but I just fussy cut them with my scissors. And I've curled them on my bone folder and popped them up on dimensionals. Don't know if you can, if I tilt that a little bit, maybe you'll be able to just see the dimension on that. And although this is an inside panel, it's fine. It sits, the card sits shut, you know, quite nicely. I've used rich raspberry card for my layering. I've used the same word stamps, and then I've just added a raspberry inside, and I've added some extra layers inside. So I've got a white, a raspberry, a white, and a garden green layer inside. And again, all those layers of card make this a nice firm card to stand up, despite the fact that the base is actually only made from patterned paper. Belinda would like to be able to get the papers as well. She's nearly used all hers as well. Yeah, me too. Okay, I'm just going to have some of my tea. All right, so I've cut my paper, but I haven't scored it. There we go. All my little bits here. Let me pull out my ink pad and my word stamps. So that's my Peaceful Moments set. And I'm going to use this one, thank you. I've said it before, I know, but I do send a lot of thank you cards because I have people who order from me and people who are very kind in all sorts of ways, and I do like to send a thank you card for lots and lots of things. So Belinda's saying the punch doesn't cut the strawberries exactly from the patterned paper, the leaf part doesn't match. Is that right, Belinda? Okay, thank you for pointing that out. I'm just going to make sure that I've got this straight on the blocks. I'm just lining up on my grid paper. Yeah, that's fine. So I've got Poppy Parade ink here. Sandy, I haven't given you the measurements for cutting it out yet, and I will do that. Okay, so I've cut this, but I'm going to score it with you, as it were, and I have cut my layers, but I'll give you all those measurements too. So for my card base, I've got patterned paper. It's patterned both sides, and I've cut it at 12 inches, so that's the length it comes at, by 6 inches. And it's just worth mentioning that when you do your folding, this panel inside, let me put this, what would be the right way round? Okay, so the panel that's going to come inside is this one, and this is slightly, sorry, this one is slightly shorter. Can you see? If I lift that, you can see some of the inside here. So this panel is slightly shorter. So think about your paper when you're scoring. The temptation is to score your paper with the pattern that you want on the outside facing you. You'll actually be better off to turn it over, and then you will have this panel on the right being slightly shorter, exactly as you want on here. So score it with the wrong side up, and just keep in mind that if your paper has a direction on it, in other words, it's very obvious that things have to come this way up, for instance, then just bear that in mind when you are cutting and scoring it. So this is an all over pattern. It doesn't matter which way up I have it. But this one, which I'm going to use for the next card, if you put them up this way, the berries are all upside down. So that one, I'll have to just make sure that I stick everything on the right way and I have it round the right way. But this is the one I'm going to use for now, so I'm going to score it with the paper upside down. So this measures 6 by 12 inches, which is half a piece of patterned paper, half a piece of 12 inches square patterned paper. I think I said before you cut a fraction off, and I remembered that wrongly. So easy peasy, half a sheet, and then I'm going to score it at 4 1/8 inch. So there is an 1/8 in there. I'm sorry about that. And 8 1/4 inches. There we go. Remember, you're only scoring paper, so don't be too heavy-handed with your scoring because you don't want to make a hole in it. And then when I fold these over, you can see that this panel on the right is going to be shorter. That's my bone folder. Okay, so just those measurements again, 12 inches by 6 inches, and I've scored it at 4 1/8 inches and 8 1/4 inches, which means that this right hand panel is just slightly shorter, so it folds over and you don't have it fighting with this fold line then. It's clear of the fold, so this will fold over nice and cleanly and smoothly. So that's your card base. Couldn't be an awful lot easier than that. And then I've got lots and lots of bits here. So I've got some bits I cut out from the patterned paper, which I'll set aside. And then I've got some layers here, and I'll give you the layer measurements as well in just a moment. So for the front then, now of course you can play with these layers. I've made the layers quite narrow because I wanted to really show off the patterned paper, but you could make them much bigger if you wanted to, and if you do, then you just come down 1/4 inch each time. So this measures 4 1/8 by 6, so you could come down to 5 3/4 by 3 7/8. That would just give you a tiny narrow border, or you could come down by 1/2 inch and so on. But my layers, because I wanted to showcase the patterned paper, this is the red card, Poppy Parade card, is 2.5 by 4.5 inches, and my white card is 2 inches by 4.5 inches. No, that can't be right. 2 by 4. Let me check that. 1, 2, 3 by 4 1/4. I've written it down really carefully. Oh no, I haven't. There we go. No, I have got it right. Yeah, no, I have. I'm just reading the wrong thing entirely. Okay, let me give you that again. Contrast card is 2.5 by 4.5, and the white card is 2 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I've just come down by 1/4 inch. So that's my one for the front. Then my inside panel, which is smaller, I've cut a slightly narrower layer for it. So this one is the red Poppy Parade card, is 2 by 4.5 inches, so it's the same height but it's just narrower here. And then my white piece is 1 3/4 by 4 1/4. And then for the inside, these two pieces are the same as for the front. So the Poppy Parade is 2.5 by 4.5, and the white is 2 1/4 by 4 1/4. But if you want to kind of go bigger, then I've just gone up by 1/4 inch on each of those measurements on another piece of white. So this larger piece of white is 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. And then to really contrast that against the background, my piece of garden green is 3 by 5. And that's that really. So I've just gone up in quarter inch increments. And you know, it doesn't matter what your layers are here, just have a look. You might be happy to cover up a bit more of the inside, as I was, because it's a simpler pattern, isn't it, that check? But I didn't want to cover up too much of the outside with these strawberries. There's lots of colours, different colours in the flowers, and so on and so forth. So let me quickly put some of these together. Ooh, I've got lots of cut bits here. I didn't want to do all this fussy cutting, there we go, on camera for you, because it's not necessarily the most exciting thing in the world to watch. So I've just got a strawberry I'm going to cut out. So I've cut these from the same pattern of paper, and they're fairly easy to cut out. If you saw my live where I was talking about cutting patterned paper, you'll know it's something I do quite a lot of. You just want nice, clean, sharp scissors. Turn the paper and notch your scissors, and angle your scissors very slightly, so my bottom blade is angled slightly underneath towards the left. I'm right-handed. There we go. And I always leave a very small border around the image. I don't try and cut actually on the line that demarcates that image. I leave a little tiny white border because that's much more forgiving than when it is laid down. So for the front then, I'm going to stamp in Poppy Parade, and I said this was going to be a thank you card, which it is. So there we go. Then I've got a piece of the patterned paper here, and I'm actually going to use the check side. So you can see I'm just using tiny bits of paper here, either to cut out from or as border pieces. So it's quite good for using up your little scrappy bits as well. If you really love the design, and we can't get another pack of the paper on its own. then this is a way to really enjoy it. And then I'm going to pop a strawberry on there and curl it with my bone folder. So I don't know if you can see, I've got a kind of domed shape there now. I'm going to pop some dimensionals underneath that. This is only paper, so I want it to be well supported, so I've popped 3 on there. There we go. And I'm sure I had 2 flowers here just now. I can only see 1. That's okay. That up there. I can always cut another one afterwards if I decide it does need 2. There we go. So that's my panel for the front. Goes on some Poppy Parade card. Now there are lots of colours in this paper. I could have used rich razzleberry, I could have used garden green, I could have used granny apple green, I could have picked out one of the blues. So there are lots of variations you can do with what is essentially the same card, just make it look a bit different. So then I'm going to work on this panel, which is the narrower panel. So again, I'm going to pop some of that patterned paper across the white. If I had the strawberry stamps from the mini catalogue, I would definitely be adding some stamped strawberries, but I don't, so I'm just working with the paper. My husband thinks I have everything in the catalogue. He's nearly right, but not quite. Right, I've just spilt glue all over my paper. I'm just going to stick that bit of paper over the top so I'm not resting on glue. I'm going to stick this one flat, and I'm also going to put it up just a little bit more, like that. I might sit down afterwards and cut out another leaf to go on there, or a leaf to go here, but I've got one eye on the time, and as always I've obviously been yakking for far too long because time is marching on, so I'm going to go a little bit minimalist on the decoration, but I may come back later and add a little bit more of a cutout on there. And then this is my piece to go inside, so I'm not going to add anything other than the paper on this because I want some space to write my thank you. And each time I've trimmed off a little bit of this check paper. I always cut these slightly big because sometimes you think you've cut something exactly and it's, I don't know, a 1/16 of an inch different or a millimetre different if you're a metric person, and you've just got a tiny little gap when you come to stick it on, which I hate. So I tend to cut it slightly big deliberately, and then I know I can trim it and get an exact fit. If you've done classes with me, you know that I tend to do that as well for class kits and let you just trim something exactly so you get the perfect fit. There we go, and I'm going to add this to a piece of green. I quite like that green as a contrast against the red. So this is actually quite a quick card to come together, although you've got 3 panels on it. It doesn't take long to assemble at all. There we are. That's my thank you card. I think it does need something else here, but I will do that afterwards and include it in the photograph so that you can see what I did and some space to write inside. So that's my strawberry card. Let me know if you've got any questions. My tea's gone cold. That's no surprise, is it? My tea always goes cold on a Friday. Okay, so let's move that one out of the way, get rid of some of this debris, and then I'm very quickly going to do one with the raspberry. And I need to just clean that stamp. My scrub as usual, because it's the best thing for cleaning stamps. Stamp off the worst of the spare ink, clean it on the wet side, clean it on the dry side, ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to shut up my Poppy Parade ink and I'm going to bring in my Razzleberry. That's all my bits and pieces. Here's my paper. So this paper has definitely got one way that it needs to be up. So it's this way up, this way the berries are correct. So when I turn it over ready to score it, I'm going to make sure that I don't turn it round as well, because I don't want to end up with the berries upside down. So this is the inside, which is beautiful. Jackie loves this colour. Yeah, it's really nice, Jackie, isn't it? Bring in my trimmer, and it's the same measurements as before. So I've got it landscape, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/8 and 8 1/4 inches. Use my bone folder to fold it. Okay, there it is. There it is, hiding. Jackie's saying this side of the paper would make nice hydrangeas. Yes, it would, Jackie. You're absolutely right. Yep, very hydrangea petal-y, isn't it? Okay, so that's my card base already. So I thought I would do some stamped layers this time. And I've also got a little bit of ribbon here. So that's my narrow layers. That's for my second panel. And then I've got these for my front and inside panels. So I've just got 2 layers for the inside on this one, and the 2 for the front, the same as I have been doing. So let me find my stamps and my blocks. And I've got a foam mat because these are foam stamps. What am I talking about? These are photopolymer stamps even. So they will do much better with a foam mat underneath. So I've got the 2 little stems here. I've got the 2 berries. The one is the outline and one is the colouring in. There must be a technical term for the colouring in one, but that's what I tend to call it. And then we've got the leaf, which is also, there's an outline and there's a colouring in one. There we go. Dropping card. There we go. Okay. Let me just pop my mat underneath my grid paper. All right, so this is one of my pieces for the front. This is one of the larger pieces. So I'm going to do thank you again, and this time I'm going to stamp some berries on there too. So I'm going to do my thank you in Rich Razzleberry. Hoping that's straight. And then I'm going to stamp my berries one at a time. So that's Rich Razzleberry, which I can't say. This is my colouring in stamp, so I'm going to stamp it off once to remove some of the ink and then get my head right over the top and stamp down to colour it in. And then I'm going to bring in some garden green for the little stem, and that just kind of sits on there like that. That's the outline. Same again to colour it in, garden green ink, stamp off once, and then looking straight over the top, colour it in. And then I can do the same with a leaf. So let's just twist that like that, I think. So that's my leaf outline. Ooh, look, I've got a bit of something on there. Let's get rid of that. Jackie's helping out with the measurements. Thank you, Jackie. Right, let's try that again. I've cleaned that stamp. I don't know what was on it, but I'm glad I realised. Stamp off once, and then looking straight down on it. This is a bigger stamp, so I'm just going to take my time to line it up as well as I can. There we go. And colour in my leaf. So that's my raspberry there. And I might just do a little bit of a leaf on the top, just coming the other way like that, and colour it in. I'm sorry, this is probably out of shot. I was trying to do it so you could at least see something other than the top of my head, but there we go. Hopefully you can see that now. So that's my piece for the front of the card. Let's get that in place. Right, so this is my piece that's going to go just as the sort of the middle decorative panel, and I'm going to pop a piece of patterned paper across this and some ribbon. Make sure I've got that up the right way. Yeah, about there I think. Trim that. Lorraine is saying it would be sensible to keep the paper available separately because it goes with the strawberry stamps and the annual catalogue. Just a suggestion you might pass on. You are not the first to say that, and you're absolutely right, Lorraine. And yes, yeah, that has been passed on, and I'm happy to pass it on again. And yeah, I'm hoping they will listen. I can't guarantee it. Sometimes they pass things on. Sometimes they listen to suggestions. Sometimes they think that having it available only as a promotion is better than making it available for longer term. And I don't really know why. Sometimes they think one and sometimes they think the other, but I'm happy to pass that suggestion on. Got a little loose end there we go. Jackie's saying the infill stamp could almost be a dragonfly. Is that the leaf infill, Jackie? So I've wrapped my ribbon round on top of the patterned paper, I've got a little piece of white baker's twine here, which I'm going to tie around my ribbon. So I'm not tying the ribbon in a bow at all, I'm tying the baker's twine around the ribbon as close to the card piece as I can get it, and then I'm going to tie the baker's twine into a ribbon, not into a ribbon, into a bow even. There we go. Oh, the berry stalk. The berry stalk could be like a dragonfly. I suppose it could a little bit, couldn't it? Let me stamp one. It does look a little bit like a dragonfly here, doesn't it? So there you go. Be creative with your stamps. Let's tie that up into a tiny, tiny bow. And tweak it a bit. There we are. So I'm hoping if I hold that up you can see what I've done. And then I'm just going to trim everything so I haven't got such long ends. This is the polka dot ribbon which is in the annual catalogue on white baker's twine. It's very, very pretty. So that will go on there like that, and I think I'm just going to bring in another of those leaves on the top. So this is called two-step stamping, where you have an outline and then something to colour it in with. Lots of our sets are like this, and it really does add to them. Of course you can use the outlines on their own, you can colour them in using different methods, but it is nice to have a stamp that will do it for you so quickly. So ribbon usually goes on the front of a card. I thought it was quite fun to have it unexpectedly on the inside this time round. Bring back my card base and I'm going to pop it here. Lorraine's doing lots of dragonflies at the moment. They're very versatile and so easy to do with the punch. Yes, they really are, aren't they, Lorraine? I love the teeny dragonfly particularly that comes with that punch. So this is going to be my inside now. And I want to use, again, leave plenty of room to write with the thank you. So a little bit more paper, I think, to add some colour straight away. Trimming that again just to make sure it's a perfect fit, and then I need to leave a little bit of space for the writing. I'm wondering if I can squeeze a berry in there. What do we think? Yeah, let's squeeze a berry in. Let's have it hanging down, so it won't be a whole berry, but half a berry is better than none, isn't it? I'm going to have to move that. I'm sorry if you're getting the top of my head. There we go. So that's that, and then I want the razzleberry for the berries. So that'll be going off the edge, but that's something actually I really like to do. Stamp off some of that razzleberry ink and then just colour in that berry. There we go. And that's now ready to go on the inside of my card. And then to decorate my envelopes, which I'm not going to do now because time is marching on, I can either stamp them with coordinating berries as I have on the cards, or I can use some of the leftover paper to either put a strip on the front of the envelope or to cover the flap of the envelope, and I'm sure you've seen me do that before. There we are. So that's the inside of this one. This is my thank you card. And there it is. And there's my strawberry one. I'm half wondering whether to pop some red rhinestones on here. What do you think? Can we pop a couple of red rhinestones with the strawberries? Or do you think that would be overkill? Let's wait and see what you think. Got some little tiny ones here. Let me lay one on and you can see. Lay those there. You can see what one or two of those would look like. Lorraine's saying yes. Right, Lorraine, I don't need any prompting in that case. One yes is enough for me. Hi, Debbie. Nice to see you. If you want to see how we got to this point with the cards, then once I've finished this, do please watch the replay. Katie saying bling is good. It is, isn't it, Katie? And Mary saying yes too. Excellent. Go. Let's pop a couple on here too, I think. Lorraine says you can't have too much sparkle. That sounds like a good motto to live our lives by, don't you think? These are from that little pack that is just red rhinestones, and they're really quite little, so they're great for holly berries, which is what I mostly use them for at Christmas, but it's nice to have them this time of year as well. So there we go, that is the strawberry card. There's the raspberry card. And then there's two I made earlier. Let me move this foam mat, then they'll all sit flat. There we go. The blueberry card. Gillian's hoping her dragonfly punch gets here soon. I'm sure it will, Gillian. I'm sure it's winging its way to you. And then, what do we call this? Summer fruits. That's the summer fruits card. So there you are. That's some ideas for using your patterned paper. I don't know if any of you have been crafting along with me. If you have, do please pop a photograph in the comments or email it to me and I'll be able to pop it in for everybody to enjoy. I think this is a lovely card design, and I can say that because I didn't design this fold from patterned paper. It wouldn't matter what kind of pattern you had on your paper, it would be absolutely beautiful to use this fold on, and it really showcases it because you can see both the front and the back all in one card. So please have a go. I'm glad you've enjoyed this. There's some lovely comments coming up. Thank you very much. And I'm just going to quickly turn the camera back and say goodbye. So let me cover you over so nobody gets seasick. I've got to sort out the positioning so I don't end up looking as if I'm in Australia. There we go. All to the stand, and hopefully there I am. Okay. I'm hoping that's it. My iPad hasn't caught up yet. Rosie loves the card. Thank you, Rosie. Mary loves it too. Sandy's made a card. Brilliant, thank you. She's popped it in the team page. That's lovely, Sandy. Will you pop it in the comments here as well? Or if you'd rather, I'll do that with your permission. That would be lovely to show everybody too. So Belinda's just finishing hers. Excellent. It's really nice when you're crafting along. So if you would like me to send you by email a sheet with those card base measurements with the layers as well on it, just let me know. Drop me an email at handmadeathome, one word, handmadeathome@hotmail.co.uk. That way I'll have your email address and I can just attach it to a reply email and send it back to you. And I'll be here same time next week, and I know what we're doing next week, so how about that? The how-to series, I'm going to give you some tips on stamping, tips on how to stamp, and the actual project are going to be shaker cards. I'm going to show you 2 ways with shaker cards. So I will put the details of what you might need for that in the events details. So I'll post an event probably Monday or Tuesday, and I'll put in that details of what you might like to have by if you want to craft along with me, or of course you can always watch it and craft later. Just final check to the comments. Lovely Katie, very happy to send you the measurements. Just send me an email to remind me, would you please? I know you've got my email address as well, and that will mean that I don't forget, because Friday afternoon is always a bit manic for me as I get to the end of everything I need to do before the weekend, and I would hate to forget. Sandy, you don't know how to post a picture on here. Sandy, assuming you're happy for me to pull the picture from our team page and post it here, I will do that, because I know everybody would love to see what you made. So thank you ever so much. Lorraine's going to post hers too. It's different from mine. Even better, Lorraine. I shall really look forward to that. So thank you ever so much, ladies. It was lovely to see you all, and I'll look forward to seeing you this time next week. Have a good weekend. I think it's going to rain on Sunday. I think it's going to be cold tomorrow. So take your pick, but enjoy it, whatever you're doing. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.